Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. And you're not going to believe this, but I am remote with this broadcast. Matter of fact, we're in the ultimate remote studio, which happens to be a vehicle. But we're going to stick around. We're actually, I never know where you're at, Scott Weaver, CEO of the Douglas J Companies. So are we in Florida today, or are we in Michigan, or where are we?
I am visiting my home in Florida today. So I'm also remote, coming to you from Florida.
There you go. Okay, bud. Well, so let's talk about that little. Always good to start out with, what do Douglas J Companies do? And so let's run through that, because you guys are surprisingly widespread across the planet.
Yeah, we've my third generation hairdressers, and now my kids and my nephews actually involved. So we're passing the torch to a fourth generation now. But yeah, we run salons and schools throughout Michigan, and actually expanded into a few neighboring states as well. And we provide the basic 1,500 hours of training, so a student can get licensed, get their license for hairdressing as well. So, yeah, and actually some exciting news around that. Of course, we have our 4 Michigan schools. We have Chicago, Knoxville, and we just had an announcement. We're doing an acquisition in Nebraska. So we will now be Cornhuskers coming up here later this fall. We take over operations. So some exciting news around the education side of our business. But we also run professional salons. We have 4 salons in Michigan, and just excited to be back growing again post-COVID. It's been a long haul. Sure.
Yeah, it certainly has. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that certification piece, because from a barber standpoint, there were some issues not that long ago.
Yeah, well, we actually we got into the barber education, barber licensing, actually just before COVID. As a matter of fact, we did our ribbon cutting right there in the Marriott in East Lansing, which is where TJ, my brother, and myself opened our first school back in the 90s. And we turned that into a barber school. And it was 1 week. Well, it was the week that we opened that we are actually shut down with COVID. So it's been quite the process with that. But there was such a demand for that. The craft of barbering is back and growing like never before. And we were able to actually expand throughout COVID and doubled the size of that program, and enrollment's going well. And the biggest challenge we have is licensed educators. It was kind of a lost craft for so many years. It's finding the educators to run the program. That's probably our biggest challenge today with that. So, but yeah, it's going well. And we just expanded that program into our Knoxville campus as well.
It's kind of interesting, because that was going to be my next question. Are you able to get people these days? Because that's still number 1, number 2 issues for all small businesses.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm not sure what happened with all that, what industry they all went to throughout COVID. But yeah, finding staff is difficult, and even running schools ourselves, we're constantly looking to hire into our licensed salons as well. So I know it's a process that we have that we're dealing with, and it's having to change our systems around and just doing the best we can to get by with that. But yeah, we're struggling like anybody else with the shortage of labor.
Well,
yeah.
You guys have found a way around that to keep growing, so that's pretty incredible. Are you challenged at all by the remote work circumstance?
We're trying to bring our staff back in some sort of a hybrid model with that. We certainly got accustomed to working remotely, and I think people do enjoy that a little bit. So we are trying to bring people back in a hybrid model and get people back into the office, half time anyways, 3 days a week. As much as we can do our jobs maybe remotely, and we can do that, you miss the connection. And I think connection and that human touch is just so important when you're building culture in an organization. So we're certainly working through those issues like everybody else as well.
Yeah, that's a fact, and they are too. So let's talk a little bit about, you guys have been always very philanthropic. Tell me what's going on there.
Well, we just finished actually, it was 20 years of the JDRF golf outing that we've put on. We've raised over $1 million for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation throughout those years. And, once again, we did take a year off during COVID, for sure, but we brought it back. It was strong. We sold out, and we're looking on what's going to be what's next over the next 20 years, and whether we're still going to be involved with the JDRF. So there's certainly a tremendous amount of work that is put into that, but it's again, so for such a great cause, and we're also raising money for clean water. So in Michigan, on our Michigan campuses, it's around the Alliance for the Great Lakes, and down in Tennessee, in our Knoxville campus, we're doing it for the Tennessee Valley Waterway, and we do cleanup efforts and things such as that for protecting clean water. So those are our two major ones, and we always let the individual campuses or locations get involved with something local on their end, and that's something of their choice each time. So.
Well, what you've done for juvenile diabetes has been nothing short of incredible. But that water piece that you're looking at, trust me, that's going to be in the next 20 years the currency.
Well, you're absolutely right. And again, I appreciate the time to chat with you a little bit, bring awareness to all that we're doing and what's going on in the world of Douglas J. So always appreciate the time.
Well, I do too. Scott Weaver, the CEO of the Douglas J Companies. We'll be back to you soon because you're always making some kind of news.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right. You've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman. We'll be back with more.